Wow. I guess this is the third in the series of working this D-bow down, but it's like the 50th take this morning because people come in and I have to stop and I don't know how to edit, so I'm going to talk fast for this one. So hopefully I can get this video done before the next car comes in. Shut up, John! No, I shan't shut up. Shut up! Okay, it's been a long summer. I would like to make a note before I start talking about the next step regarding draw knifing. Now, let's say that you've drawn your lines for the face and you've got an inch of wood to cut through. I would definitely use the draw knife. I push the idea of the rasp just because of its conservative nature. You don't risk the same possible demise to your project if you use a rasp, because it can work slower than using this, but this is a great tool. Now, the fibers generally run from tip through the handle to the tip. With Osage, as well as any other wood, it might have a snake in there. And you don't necessarily want to just cut through it to make a straight bow. If the stave is snaky, you need to get a bead on the lay of the fibers. And what you can do with your draw knife, instead of just putting it, level with the plane that you are working with, is tilt it towards the belly side. Because if you take too much off the belly side, you're not going to be in trouble necessarily, because that piece that you knocked off is probably going to be removed. And so I'm going to take it, studying my lines, tip it, favoring the belly, and take some off the edge there, and working that on the piece that you're removing to get a lay of the fibers. You're also risking tear out a lot less because you're removing a smaller bit. And so let's say you did that and it works out nice and straight. Beautiful. Then you can go favoring the backside, being careful because you don't want to go inside your lines, and then take that peak off, working this, and then flattening it. And that way you're removing smaller sections than just that whole section. It's a bad technique to go this way from the tip toward the handle because the fibers are stepping and you don't want to go tearing right through and chipping off a big lump. I always work from the tip and then work my way this way, so I'm actually removing smaller bits of wood. Enough of that, better hurry, never know when the next car's coming in. The last we spoke, I had marked my line, the roughing thickness line, to about a ½ inch, a little above. A ½ inch is safe. For a 50-inch bow, which this is, it's not going to be a ½ inch thick. So I marked my roughy ones, the rough ones on the side, a little greater than ½ inch, and you saw that. Marked it, beveled, and have a peak, then I come back and flatten it. What I do is I'll leave a little remnant of the bevel, a slight remnant of the bevel along the edge on the pulling side, so I'm not going to tear anything out. See, there's no tear out along the edge of the pulling side because I left that remnant there. Got it flattened out, and then I'm going to take the sides, these sides, side, and I'm going to flatten them and smooth them so I can draw very sharp pencil lines. I'm going to take my Scribe-O-Matic again, and there's many ways to do this. You don't need to do the scribey thing, but again, this is geared towards those who aren't that experienced, newcomers and conservative old people like me. I'm going to mark it to a little less, just a slightly tick of a less, ½ an inch. So I've got that drawn sharp. If it bobbles, then sand it off and do it again because you want to have sharp lines. This is my center. So then I'm going to take another line in some inches away from the handle center and then some inches away from the tip, leaving the lion's share, of that little less than a ½ an inch line running mid-limb. Excuse me. Make it a little less, as you saw, and near the handle a little more. And then just using my eye when I'm reducing it, I want to have it center of the handle, a little greater than the line, moved right to the line, the center of there, and then grade it down to here. You want to have a nice smooth transition, and then transition to the tip, which is the thinnest part. Repeat. It's the same on both sides, and then grind with the rasp, bevel it to your lines on both sides, then remove the peak. By this point, this 50-inch bow, when this is down to a half an inch, a little slightly less than a half an inch, it's going to be floor tillered. It should be able to bend, and then I can start reducing it, scraping, sanding, however, following the growth rings. Let me just draw what I mean in here if you're not really familiar with it. Make these nice and dark here. V's, a V, a greater V, and let's say, now I'm going to do this. Let's say this is the halfway point. What I mean by that is the V's. You're going to see the growth line, the growth ring V's, centered, because this is a consistent piece of wood. You want those V's to be centered, and see the growth ring on this side as you do this side. And usually it would be a step up, some distance here, then a less distance and a less distance. And so that means it's kind of swooping like that. Get that down to these next lines. You might say, if you're sharp of eye, this is relatively wide for Osage, whatever. This is an 1 3/8", which is wider than the finished bow. The reason that I made it wider is wide makes a heavier bow, so I'm not risking, you know, exploding with a wider piece when I'm floor tillering and such. What I want to do is, it's going to be very thin at this next point. You can see it's going to be less than a half an inch wide here and very thin here. It'll be very easy then to scrape or just sand to then my next set of lines on here, and then refining a little bit, you know, the straight tip through handle to tip. The less wood you have, the faster it is to remove, and then I can get just into sanding, what have you. And with that, I'm going to close it down. I was able to do this without interruptions. Everything else now is gravy. This bow is going to the fellow that wanted me to make that juniper and sinew bow. 50 pounds at a greater than 22-inch draw, 50 inches long, and I have to say, I confess, it died. While I was shooting it in, I started seeing chrysals form in the center. And I'm going to use this bow, Lou's bow. It's going to go off to New York today. I'm actually going to string it here, throw something on the ground, point of contact tip, and center of the handle. You run into a problem sometimes, you less than juniper, when you transition from wide to narrow and deep to then wide again, if it bends through the handle, because this is a source of stress, especially when you're risking the bow pushing the limits. And obviously that 50-pound bow at greater than 22 inches, it was pushing the limits of compression. There, I did it, I confess. And so you don't have control sometimes over what happens, but you have control over how you react to it. And so he's been waiting a long time for that bow. I'm sure he's just as disappointed as I am to discover that his bow died that he's been looking for. So he's going to get a free Osage bow, a free backed Osage bow. Sorry, Emilio. It happened. It happened, and I feel really crummy about it. Hopefully I can make up for it by putting an Osage bow that's rugged into your hands. It's not going to suffer that same fate. can certainly support 50 pounds and beyond at that draw length, because this is a good kind of bow wood. It happens, you know. They say, and I've said, if you're not making them, or if you're not breaking them, you're not making them. Well, it gets people at every level of experience. It happens. But that's it. Thank you for watching. Appreciate your viewership. And these are nice. Not going to suffer that same fate. Oh, there we go. Put that down. Nice paddle bow. And then I'm going to get back to work here, working on this bow.